So here now we have types of aid, okay? So 3 types of aid that you need to know about. We have emergency aid, bilateral aid, and multilateral aid. So emergency aid, that's when, in the case of an emergency, right, you keep people alive in times of disaster. It's very short-term things like your blankets and things like that, food, water. So anytime you see one of those sort of short-term, quick fix approaches, that's emergency aid. But then you have bilateral aid, which is one government directly helping another. And that's more of a long-term thing. So when you see things like Australia is providing aid to Papua New Guinea, that's more likely to be bilateral aid. Okay, you're trying to, like, Australia is implementing schools and healthcare systems and things like that, providing grants of money. That's when it's bilateral aid. And then multilateral aid is when a group of countries is pooling their money into an international organization. Okay, so things like, so it's long term. So if you ever see the name of an international organization like the UN, it's more likely dealing with multilateral aid. Alrighty. Then we also have features of Australia's aid program, right? So this is going by the separate dot points of the study design. We have provision of the official development assistance, which is 0.22% of DNI. Okay, so that's the specific quota that Australia likes to fill. That's a feature of Australia's aid program. And then we promote our national interest by contributing to sustainable economic growth and poverty reduction, right? So that's another feature. And the final feature is that the Indo-Pacific region is the main focus of Australia's aid. So particularly regions like Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and things like that, that's mainly where Australia likes to provide aid, because they're the most, directly and more likely to impact Australia, if that makes sense. So if something bad happens there, then Australia is more likely to be at risk. So those are the features of the Australia's aid program. What are the priority areas? We have building resilience, education and health, infrastructure, trade facilitation and international competitiveness, gender equality, effective governance, and agriculture, fisheries, and waters. Okay, so these are the 6 areas of Australia's aid program, priority areas. And you can remember this via the acronym BEIGE-A. And you need to know this verbatim, right? So I just highlighted those things because, it helps you remember, but you need to know the specifics of each of these words, right? You need to know these specific words. So just need to emphasize that you need to know these verbatim. And you need to be able to understand these and be able to identify these in case studies and how they're reflected. So for example, in the specific program from 2021, from the 2021 paper, we had Australian government working with organisations to ensure food security in countries across the Pacific. Okay, so this aid program involves working with farmers and small businesses to improve agricultural techniques and increase food production availability. Okay, so one priority, so these are the priorities, you need to be able to link it to one of the priorities from Australia's aid program. Okay, so one priority here might be agricultural, fisheries, and water. Okay, because you're having a look at food security, right? You're having a look at farmers and small businesses to improve agricultural techniques. Then you're going to be able to talk about how Australia is trying to improve agriculture, fisheries, and water. Then the other thing is infrastructure, trade facilitation, and international competitiveness to ensure that countries in the Pacific region are able to compete with the international market of various food products, essentially. So all you need to do is identify them. It's only a 1-mark question. So as long as you're able to go through this specific list and be able to identify it, you would have gotten the marks. Alrighty. And then finally, we have features of effective aid, right? So we have partnership for development, ownership by recipient country, and results focused, and transparency and shared responsibility. Okay? In this instance, you can use the acronym PORT to remember all 4 of these, right? So in partnership for development, you're basically combining differing strengths, okay? So ensuring that the different countries come together to implement an effective and efficient program and provide training to local people to develop knowledge and skills. So for example, if you're trying to partner to improve the healthcare facilities there, the local people are trained so that they can be effective nurses and doctors and things like that, and then pass on that knowledge to local people, right? So over time, they're able to, you're working together using the resources of both countries to be able to create an efficient program. And then ownership by recipient country means that the people that are targeted must be involved in the development of the program. Okay, it needs to be culturally appropriate and politically sensitive to meet the specific needs of that community. So if in that community the main issue is that they don't have any hospitals nearby, then you need to sort of be making sure that that specific need is met, because that is the most urgent thing that needs to be addressed, right? Whereas if the thing is the school over there, the teaching staff, there's not enough teaching staff, then training up the local people to be better teachers. Okay, results focused. So the actual program needs to be able to improve morbidity and mortality rates, right? Reduce morbidity and mortality rates. And then those disease patterns need to be constantly monitored once the program is implemented, and ensure that women are involved to reduce poverty. And overall, her health and well-being needs to be improved. Okay? And then for transparency and shared responsibility, all of the funding from that program cannot be used for commercial gain, but needs to be used for the intended purpose, right? And all of the progress needs to be regularly monitored and assessed, and then the results of the actual program needs to be published, available for the public to be able to see for transparency. So that's how you know that a specific aid program is effective. Okay, and this sort of needs to be established. You need to be able to pick your own sort of aid program, right? So you'll be able to do your own research in accordance with the study design and have a look at a specific aid program and analyze how they do all of these, all right? So, and the type of SDG that it achieves, okay? So what are two features, right? We've got a VCAR question for 2021 asking what are two features that would make an aid program implemented in low or middle income countries effective? You need to be able to explain your response. Okay, so have a think. The 4 features, we use the acronym PORT. Okay, so pause the video and have a go. Alrighty. So in this question, many students did not get any of the marks. So we've got 44% of the state not being able to get any marks, with the average being 1.4. Okay, so it was a bit of a difficult question, but it's actually really simple once you understand how to answer it. So students weren't awarded a mark for identifying the feature, but for explaining how it could make the program effective, right? Simply stating the feature, stating partnership for development and things like that, without explaining it, means that you won't get the marks. So there's no set list of features, but you need to be able to understand how it works, right? So here we have one effective feature of an aid program being partnership. This includes being tailored to the needs of the recipient country and not merely the donor country, right? So if all you're doing is meeting your own needs by, saying, hey, I gave some money to a country, that's not ownership, okay? And then ownership includes educating the low or middle income country, ensuring that once the aid ceases, you can continue to have an effect, right? So that the country is no longer reliant on your aid, leading to self-sufficient countries and long-term sustainable human development. And then the other feature of an effective aid program is partnership / collaboration between various groups, right? So such collaboration enables for shared expertise and knowledge, making it an effective program with the best possible outcomes, okay? Partnerships allow for greater funding to be provided, ensuring adequate resources are available, making for good health outcomes and an effective program. So here we're focused on partnership, we focused on ownership, okay? And it specifically talked about ensuring that countries become self-sufficient, right? And that the needs of the recipient country are met. And also that shared expertise and knowledge is enabled, right? To ensure that there's the most effective program with the best possible outcomes, right? So it's a really good answer in terms of explaining the effective features of an effective aid program. Alrighty. So